Now into the auxiliary gate.
Final 16th coming, and Taken by the Wind has taken the lead. And she rips away from the pack. Taken by the Wind's going to score by 4.
You're listening to the Auxiliary Gate Podcast, Kentucky's weekly horse racing discussion. And now, here are your hosts, Alan Schneider, Geoff Riggs, and me, C.C. Broaddus. Hello, welcome to episode number 220 of the Auxiliary Gate Podcast for September 18th, 2025. Joined, as always, Alan Schneider, representing Fern Creek, very proudly this afternoon.
Maybe not much longer. We're looking to move in the near future, I think. Maybe near future, not so near future, we'll see. But I'll rep this part of town for the time being, I guess.
I'm telling you, Nelson County is where you need to be.
Outside the city limits would be fantastic with me if all the other things worked out okay. Daughter's school, wife's work, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. We'll see.
Just 1 hour from Churchill Downs, 1 hour from, well, less than 1 hour from Keeneland. Just saying. Just saying.
We shall see. We shall see.
All right, let's get caught up here. We missed a week.
Yeah, because of the events of last week, we did a little preface thing where we were supposed to have Travis Foley on last week to talk about the grade 1 victory they had at Kentucky Downs, but we thought it was in best interest of everything that happened last week that didn't seem appropriate. So we'll get back to that in a future date, right?
Yeah, and let's talk about that real quick. Greg Foley won his first ever grade 1. In the Franklin Simpson Stakes with troubleshooting for Donnemeyer Farm. And, $2 million race. So, and I don't think the Foleys were having the best of years or up to their standards. I think I saw Travis Foley right after the race, about an hour after the race, and I patted him on the back, said, big time. He said, yeah, we needed that. So, that hit the spot.
That's great. You know, there's a lot of congratulations to those guys. Troubleshooting's really blossomed this year on the turf at Ellis Park. It's another testament to Ellis Park about their program that they produce a grade 1 winner. A lot of people going on and on about, Kentucky Downs, why they throw so much money out? Why is it a grade 1? It's like, you know, I get your point. That's fine. Who cares? They offered the money. They offered the grade 1. It's your job to go get it. I mean, they offer that race to everybody. So, as far as the grading committee, it doesn't matter. It's a grade 1, they got it. So happy for them. They got a boatload of cash. Got that moniker on troubleshooting. He's been in good form for a while. So really happy to see that.
All right, now this is the part of the show where I become a hypocrite. I do this once. I've been very critical of Kentucky Downs over the last several years. They took away the free access to basically the finish line, the 16th pole, and moved the people like me up to the top of the stretch. And I just quit going. It wasn't worth it. But this year, got invited to, live the good life, so to speak. Got the buffet, got the seats near the finish line. Beautiful weather, great racing. Love going down there. I love the area. I think it's cool down there for some reason. But I enjoy it. Went 2 weekends in a row. Enjoyed every minute of it. I gotta admit, I'm probably going to go back. And if I don't get the same amenities, I'll probably dish out the money and just take it on the chin and just go. So, what were your thoughts on the weekend at Kentucky Downs?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's a good take, and again, I hate using the word take, but I just did, so that's on me. Speaking about being a hypocrite, I think you and Geoff were there for 4 days total. I was there for 1 day, and I got to tell you, the hospitality that they put forward was really impressive. They did a little bit of everything. Plus, it's really nice. And I'm not usually one to spend the extra money or whatever, but I will tell you this: next year, if it comes down to it, one of the few times in my life I will actually pop for the extras for that because it is quite comfortable. It's they go over the top in accommodating you. To be honest with you, and again, the racing with again, I'm a fan of the full fields and stuff too. So I understand the criticisms that there is. I mean, I was part of it as well too. I mean, there was a meet a couple of years ago. I just didn't play, but I got to say, if you do pop for that extra admission, it's worth it for the upgrades. I can't say that for every other racetrack and some other things. There's a couple tracks in mind. I'm definitely thinking of if you pay the upgrade Kentucky Downs, it's worth it.
Uh,
People don't want to hear that, but it's the truth.
before we before we dive further into that topic, Jeff Riggs is not with us this week. He is somewhere out west, Jackson Hole, or he fell in a hole, or something like that, or
I think he's
Montana.
making it. Yeah, I think he's making a new series of Taylor Sheridan or something like that out there out west. I hope it's better than the other pieces of crap he puts out, like Yellowstone. But
Beardstone,
yeah, Beardstone, that'd be good. That's good. I like that.
Yellowbeard would be fun. But yeah, back to Kentucky Downs. The upgrades they've made are real simple. Just
Yeah,
a couple buildings and lots of fans.
ceiling fans,
Like
big ass
real,
fans. Yeah,
yeah, big ass fans, those type of fans. Unlimited drinks, unlimited food,
unreal.
desserts, and TVs. And what else could we need? What else could we possibly need? We don't need a band playing in the background. We don't need photo ops or anything like that. As horse players, we just want food, drink, TVs, and access. That's all I
Com-
need. We're
comfort, comfort.
we were at a table and Sack Shoes was with us, and she made the best point of the day. She's like, "This is what Ellis Park should be."
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah,
Yes,
and yeah, just oversized fans and a shady area and a lot of TVs, and I think people would just absolutely love it. Down there. I
and
mean, I,
as you're saying that, her point with that is well taken, in that the little set that they have there didn't cost that much for them. I mean, as far as the actual physical things they put up, didn't it wasn't that extravagant, but it was very nice, right? So that's a good point. Ellis could surely do that, and those people deserve it.
that did you go to the sports book? I don't think you did. The
I didn't. I think I've walked in there before. The last time I went.
the sports book was really cool, and of course the entire, I guess they call it the Mint Hall, the dining or
Hmm.
not, I don't know what you call it, but the gaming hall, Mint Gaming Hall, is beautiful inside. It's very clean, and of course it's that casino type feel. But then the sports book at the end is really nice. It's got theater chairs all the way around, and as many TVs as you could possibly stand. Now, as nice as it was, that's not necessarily my thing. I think that's something you can recreate at home. You know, and I don't know how popular it would be when you can place bets on your phone. I'm not sure. Is sports wagering available in Tennessee? I think it is.
I'm not sure.
If it is, I mean, what reason do you have to drive 30, 40 miles out of your way to watch a TV or watch a football game on TV? But I mean, it was pretty cool. So uh,
And whatever I can't remember what the upgrade price was. Wherever to get that, it's like honestly, with the amount of food and liquor that they gave you, you would probably spend that anyway, wouldn't you? Depending
yeah,
on how much you drink and stuff, right? So
yeah, yeah,
it's worth it. If anybody wants to pop for the extra, I would recommend doing it. That's not something I would ordinarily say. So
yeah. I think it was a fun weekend. And then on top of that, the weather was beautiful, both
hmm
both weekends. And yeah, it was gosh, it was so enjoyable. If they were all that way, that would be great. But
couldn't agree more.
uh all right. So let's move on here now. Getting text messages like crazy. What's going on here? Must be something happening in the world. Guess not. I don't know. Anyway, uh Pennsylvania Derby, Cotillion this weekend. And interesting that the Pennsylvania Derby was used to be run on Labor Day Monday, and they moved it toward the end, closer to the end of September, middle of September, really. And the idea was to get beyond the shadow of the Travers, because the Travers is the marquee summer race for 3-year-olds, you could say. But it's interesting, while the Travers drew the best 3-year-old in training. They only got 5 starters. The Pennsylvania Derby is going to get not a full field, but a field of 10, including probably the 3rd best horse in training, Baeza,
Hmm.
and a few others. You get Magnitude, you get Goal Oriented, Big Truz off that big win at Ellis Park, and Gosker. So it's an interesting race, fun race, good betting race. If you bet Parks, try to avoid that high takeout. And then you've got the Cotillion. The race before that is basically this is all the good 3-year-old fillies outside of Nitrogen. So you've got Scottish Lassie, Lacara, Good Cheer, the Oaks winner. Those 3, I guess, are the marquee names.
And I'm sure you're probably I'm not the biggest Parks person. I don't know much about it. To give anybody advice on Parks would be a mistake for me. But I bet you like the same horse in the Cotillion that I do.
Oh boy, I don't know. I mean, I'm leaning Good Cheer, but I'm not sold on anything. Who do you like here?
Clico.
Clico, yeah. That's the one I was getting ready to mention. Big winner at Indiana Oaks, coming from off the pace on a day when it favored speed. So yeah, filly that's won 3 out of 4.
Yeah, well, yeah, it probably might. There's a lot of hype on that horse, but because it's at Parks and because these horses, the name familiarity, the other ones, Good Cheer, who I think actually is the one beat, Lacara, so on and so forth. The name usually in those races, the name recognition will actually play to the odds. So even though here in these parts we know what a promising horse Clico is, you might actually get close to that 8-1 morning line because of the name familiarity of the other horses in a marquee race.
Yeah, the tactics in this race are going to play a lot in how this race is won, because you've got Scottish Lassie that probably wants to be on the lead. Lacara definitely wants to be on the lead. So something's got to give there. If Scottish Lassie does concede, then Lacara probably goes from a 7-2 morning line down to 8-5. But Clequot is going to stalk. So, and then Good Cheer probably wants them all to melt down late. So yeah, I don't know. It's a good betting race, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In this Pennsylvania Derby, though, what do you think? I mean, you've got David of Athens who won big at Ellis Park last time, and
That's who I'd like. That's who I'd go just from a price standpoint. That David of Athens intrigues me. He might have them quaking in their boots in the Pennsylvania Derby. I know everybody's again Beza, Gosker. Those are your name horses, whatever. Obviously, they might win, but between Big Truz and David of Athens, I guess that's the Ellis Park, Kentucky homer in me. They both rate giant chances at big odds, right? So I think Big Truz might take a little heat, but Gaffleone sticks with David of Athens. He's only had 3 career starts.
Yeah, that's interesting because I thought Big Truz was the better horse.
Yeah, the thing about David of Athens is he won on debut at like 20 something one at Keeneland, and we didn't really see him after that for quite a while, but he's come back in good form because in that debut he beat 2 good horses in Camp Hale and a Grade 1 winner in Patch Adams, and his return at second off the left at Ellis Park was no joke. So David of Athens is intriguing, especially with Gaffleone picking him over Big Truz. So I know the name, and again the name recognition, and rightfully so, is going to play those big horses. But I'll be keeping an eye on him.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, enough banner for now. Let's get to our special guest, somebody who had a very nice experience, a relatively new owner to the thoroughbred game, and let's meet him right now. All right, on September 13th, 2025 at Churchill Downs, a bay filly by the name of Taken by the Wind won the Pocahontas Stakes at 1 mile, a $300,000 race, and likely she's on her way to the Breeders' Cup. And we are fortunate to have one of her co-owners, Graham Leveston, who is a resident of Louisville. He is on the line, and he's joining us right now. Congratulations, Mr. Leveston.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, we're grateful you're here. Like I said, congratulations on the big win. That had to be exciting. This filly's undefeated in 2 starts. Let's talk about you personally.
Mm-hmm.
you co-founded what's known as College Properties Group, and what I gathered from my research, this company organizes camps for maybe high school lacrosse, soccer, hockey players,
Yep.
something similar to like what Nike does with I think it's what the NY, it was basically camps kind of to showcase high school player or athletes to potential colleges. Is it something like that?
Yeah, you're 100% accurate. We own and operate upwards of 80 events across the United States, across field hockey, soccer, lacrosse, ice hockey, and we'll move into some other sports in the next year or so. And they're focused on recruiting for college, for high school athletes that have aspirations to play these sports in college. Our focus is on high academic universities and colleges. So we work with head coaches in those respective sports. And there's probably, I think, close to maybe 40 that we've worked with, that we currently work with. And we've been doing this, I think since 2011.
Yeah, Nate, I think you're big into lacrosse. Lacrosse, I know, schools like John Hopkins and
Yep.
yeah, colleges similar to that. They have really nice lacrosse programs. How'd you get involved in lacrosse of all the sports?
Well, I have three boys that are now gainfully employed and out of college that played growing up. And so just through them and their experiences, myself and my business partner, felt there were some, inadequacies in the space as far as the recruiting and helping kids get recruited. So, we started with one event back in May of 11 called the Prep School Lacrosse Showcase. And here we are, what is it, 14 years later with, about 80 events and going really well.
It's fair to say, like, the events that you promote are similar to, like, I'm trying to think of something right off the top of my head, like the Nike Peach Jam. Is that something like that?
Yeah. So we're focused on, so there are team events and individual events. A majority, 95% of our events are individual events. So a high school athlete would look at a camp that has the head coaches from Princeton and Harvard and Hopkins and a number of other schools. They're obviously interested in those schools. Their parents would, sign them up for that camp. They would spend a day or two with those head coaches, working on skill development, getting to know the coaches, scrimmaging in those in games with one another. And so ultimately, the coaches are able to evaluate their athletic ability and more importantly, in addition to athletic ability, get to know the kids as more as a person, because when they're recruiting players, they want to make sure that they're the right fit for the program. And this, our events, which are on the smaller side, they range from 100 to 250 kids. It gives them the ability to get to know players much more so than a tournament with 10 fields and 4,000 players, and you're just a number on a jersey. So we're focused on the individual, athlete more so.
Okay, and then you were an ex-employee for Nike for several years. Is that correct?
Yeah, just north of 20 years. I spent the entire time with Nike Golf. So I came in '96, and Nike signed Tiger, I believe, in '97. So timing was really good.
Wow.
And it was an incredible ride for 20 years. I did everything from product development. I was a regional sales manager. I started as a sales rep. I had a myriad of positions over that 20-year time frame. And it was an awesome opportunity for me.
By any chance, did you happen to meet Phil Knight?
Well, it's funny you asked that, because this will take about 3 minutes. So my first year into the company, head of sports marketing Nike Golf had left, and the PGA Championship was being held at Sahalee Golf Club up in Seattle, Washington. And I happen to manage the PGA of America, who runs the PGA Championship. that business and all the merchandising that goes along with that. And so I was told Phil Knight was going to be attending the event. He was coming from the college basketball. Nike holds his college basketball symposium for the coaches, and Phil goes, and it was over in Hawaii. So I was told he was coming, flying directly from Hawaii over. So I actually went to the head of CBS production. His name was Lance Barrow at the time. And I said, hey, Lance, do you by any chance have 2 inside the ropes armbands? Phil Knight's coming over. And he said, no, I don't. I can't do that. And then I just was silent and looked at him. And finally he gave in. He says, okay. He looked at his buddy, and I can't remember. Let's call him Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, do you have 2 of those media armbands? Can you get those for me? And so he gave them to me. Phil Knight had my number as a contact, and he left a voicemail for me in my hotel room. I happened to be in the lobby, and he met me, and he was like, hey, Graham. And think about this. I'm 1 year into Nike. This is, the founder of Nike. Hey, Graham, great to meet you. Let's go have a drink. This is my wife, Penny. So the 3 of us go have a drink in the lounge. And I tell him that I got him 2 inside the ropes armbands, which he was not expecting. And he looked at his wife and says, Penny, you have no idea. This is unbelievable. This is incredible. We get to walk inside the ropes with Tiger, blah, 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 blah. And so he was ecstatic. And then we go to the course the next morning, and his wife, Penny, wonderful woman, says to me, you walk with Phil. I said, no, the armband's for you. You walk with Phil. She says, nope. She gave me the armband. I walked 18 holes inside the rope with Phil Knight 1 year into being with the company. Then get the interesting thing after that is, things settle down. I get back to Nike. I'm in the lunch. We have this deli, and Mr. Knight would go in there every day around 12 o'clock and have lunch by himself and read the paper and eat. So I'm in line with my boss, who was like a 20-year Nike vet at the time. Mr. Knight comes in, sees me, says, Graham, I kid you not, where you been? I said, I've been working. He says, you need to call me. Let's get together and talk. I said, I will. He says, yeah, just call my assistant, Lisa, and her name is Lisa, and come on up, let's chat. And he went and sat down. My boss, 20-year guy, never met him, looked at me and said, what was that? I said, I was with him at the PJ Championship. We developed a relationship. And that's my Phil Knight story 1 year in.
Holy cow. What kind of person was Phil?
Oh, incredible. Wonderful man. I met with him multiple times in his office, one-on-one.
Wow.
Over the course of that next 6 months. My oldest son, had some medical issues along the line. He actually sent me a handwritten note about the situation, and asked, he'd love to meet him at some point. So he's a terrific individual.
That's incredible. Wow. Great story.
Yeah.
So how in the world did you land in Louisville?
Well, through my wife, Jennifer, I was in Connecticut forever. And then I think 12 or 13 years ago, I moved down, and we started in Lexington. She's an attorney at the time in Lexington. Now she's an attorney in Louisville. And so we ended up in Louisville and we have a nice little farm in Louisville, and here we are. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and I assume, at some point you had to have been bitten by the bug, the thoroughbred racing bug. When did that come about? Yeah,
it was interesting because Jenny's an eventer, and we have 3 horses. They're her horses, obviously, and through a friend, they knew. I think it may have been Sue McPeak. I think maybe rides with Jenny or something like that. I was interested, just in learning more about it. And I was introduced to Kenny, and I met Kenny, and he was at the sale, and, he said, here are some opportunities, and here's how it works. And I was intrigued. and so I bought into my first horse, which is Iron Sharpens Iron, 3-year-old colt, um, who's done pretty well. I think he's at 114, $115,000, and I think he's expected to run next Friday at Churchill. Um, and then I got into the second, obviously Taken by the Wind was another one, and I talked to Kenny about that one, and he's like, "We've got this one and this one and this one," and Terry Brown. It's all happenstance. He says Terry Bradshaw's, in on this one, and I think um, Gary Copeland is another owner who's a friend of Kenny's, and I think maybe Gary told me about um, Terry as well. So I said, "I'll take that one." I looked at her, um, pedigree and all that stuff. Not that I know a ton about it at this point, but and so that's it. That's it. And so I plan to expand this fall and keep going. I'm really enjoying it. But with that being said, my experience is not the norm because I've had, a horse that's won $114,000 and my second horse is a 2-year-old filly, undefeated, winning the Pocahontas. That's not normal for someone to have 2 horses and be successful like that.
Right. I know iron sharpens iron well. That horse knocked me out of a pick 5 last fall at Keeneland when he broke his maiden, as I recall.
Well,
But
yeah. So funny. So we were supposed to be at that race, and then it got scratched, and so we had a trip to Vegas and out west to go to the parks and things, and we were watching it. And Jenny and I were in the win, watching it, and it won. And we couldn't believe our eyes. And the fun fact, it beat Burnham Square.
oh, no kidding!
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. It was as I recall, it was a really long price that day too, like at double digits at least, maybe
Yeah,
more.
it was 15. I think it was 16-1.
16-1, yeah.
And ran good, and then didn't really progress. He doesn't have like quick stride. He's got that long. He's a closer,
Right.
100%. And his last race, he won nicely, and his speeds are going up. So we're hoping that he's. I think they might run him a mile and an eighth. I think, and I think he's best suited there. But he's got very long stride, but a closer.
Yeah. Now in this game, it's kind of crazy how things are meant to be. I'm trying to piece this together. I was looking at his auction results, and it looks like Walking L Thoroughbred's purchase Taken by the Wind last July at Fasig-Tipton
For 70, I think.
for 70,000. Now I know the Walking L Scott Leeds is dispersing his stock, and I'm certain that's what happened here. I think he
Yes.
put this yearling up for sale at Fasig-Tipton in October. Just what is that? 3 months later, and Kenny picked this filly up for $20,000. So Walking L
Yep.
lost $50,000. Kenny, retains the filly. Now this has got to be a dream. You get this filly for $20,000.
Oh, the buy-in was like nothing. I mean, relatively speaking, compared to other horses at this level, it's like, yeah, no, I agree, and it was incredible. And Kenny's great at picking out those value horses. I mean, and obviously this is a perfect example. I mean, iron sharpens iron is for any horse to win over $100,000. If you look at generally speaking, I mean that's pretty good too at that price.
Yeah. Now Terry Bradshaw, as you mentioned, is an owner on this filly. I don't ever recall him ever owning a piece of a racehorse before. Do you know if this is his first foray into the business?
I don't know. I read something, and I don't know him personally, but I read something on a press release recently that he did have a horse at some point that won 1 million too. I'm not, and I think one was in the Derby, maybe 2010. You can look that up, but I thought I read something recently. But yeah, no, it's great to have him involved. I'm sure if she progresses and gets to something, nice race at some point, he'll probably be there. I'm sure he's busy right now with the NFL.
Right. Right. Indeed. Now I wanted to get your reaction from this. I'm just going to read a list of past winners of the Pocahontas Stakes. You might recognize a few of these names. Serengeti Empress won the race. She went on to win the
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky Oaks. Daddy's Little Darling for Kim McPeak was an eventual
Yeah.
great. Untappable won a Kentucky Oaks for Steve Asmussen. Sassy Image for our friend Jerry Romans Jr. won a Grade 1 on Derby Day. Unbridled Elaine won a Breeders' Cup Distaff, and way back, the first running of this race I ever remember was a filly named Epitome for, I believe, Phil Oswald, won the Pocahontas. Then 1 week later, came back to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Does that get the juices flowing a little bit?
Yeah, no, for sure it does. I mean, for me, as kind of a layman and just getting into the space, I mean, I look at I'm very analytical. I managed, a bunch of people at Nike, and reporting was, part of that process. So I've been really looking at Equibase and analyzing all the numbers, and it is really exciting. I mean, you never know. I mean, it's just like Iron had a great first race and kind of didn't really move up the chart, and then, it's interesting. I went. We were supposed to go to Seattle. I went to that Saratoga race, and we changed our plans, and then went later to Seattle. But who knows? I mean, it was it's a maiden race, a mile in the dirt. I was talking, to Jimmy Jerkins, who's running, Kenny's horses up at Belmont, and she was breezing well. And people don't put a lot of emphasis on breezing, but there was one, she breezed from the gate at 48-3. For me, that's an eye opener. Looking at numbers, right? That's a good number for a 2-year-old filly to breeze from the gate. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's unbelievable. And then so we went up to the race, and we saw her run, and she's holding her own, and she's doing well. And then she was obviously very green. Chris Elliott was up on her, and she took off to the right. The reins were the kind of like a little goofy here and there, and then he got her, and she just took off and had a lot more. So my thought going into the Pocahontas was, I felt she had a lot more, and she really hit the gas late in that race. So my thought process was, she ran well, and she's got more in her. If she's not as green, she has a real opportunity to win. And obviously that's what happened with Irad.
All right. So if all goes well, are we going to Del Mar for the Breeders' Cup, or would there be a stop on the way for this filly?
It's an interesting point. Kenny's obviously in charge of the what's next, but there's I guess just on paper from what I've seen, what I've analyzed is that there's a stop would be the Alcibiades and then Breeders. So I don't know if he has plans for that, but I know generally speaking the solid 2-year-olds are going to that Alcibiades, and then some would go to the Breeders. I mean, I don't know what he's got. I mean, I'm planned at this point,
Okay. All right. Finally, you said you wanted to possibly add to your holdings. Did you attend the Keeneland September sale, or are you going to wait for the October yearling sale at Fasig-Tipton?
I'll probably go to October. I didn't get a chance to go to Keeneland yet. So I've been too busy. I'm in Boston right now, and then I'm coming back, and then we're gone for 2 weeks. So I've been all over the map, so I didn't get a chance. But I know Kenny's up there, and I've got some other buddies in the space. So it's I'm looking to to get involved again for sure.
All right, fantastic. Well, as I said before, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is fun. It's you're finding out that it's a really fun game to be involved in, and we're glad to have you in it. Good luck going forward with Taken by the Wind, and hopefully we'll cross paths down the road. Maybe if you win that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, we'll have you back on.
Yeah, anything could happen. That would be nirvana. I mean, craziness. But I really appreciate you taking the time and having me today. Thank you so much.
All right, Graham Leveston, co-owner of Taken by the Wind, the winner of Churchill Downs Pocahontas Stakes.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go now, we got a couple of topics I want to dig in on. In the preamble, we talked about the Pennsylvania Derby, of course, drawing a field of 10. There are 2 stakes races here locally. At Churchill on Saturday is the Bourbon Flight, which is an 8-horse field. That's a mile and 3/16. Friday night is the St. Louis Derby.
Hmm.
Uh, mile 16, $250,000. Few of these horses are cross entered, and so you've got 11 in the St. Louis Derby. You've got 8 in the Bourbon Flight. I see Brother Kenny, Hypnus, Chunk of Gold, Admiral Dennis, and Excite. What have I named? 5?
Yes.
5 horses at least, and there may be more. I'm just not looking at it right. There may be more. That's 5 horses cross entered in
Wow.
2
Wow.
races. So you've got 8. So you've got 19 horses total, 19 entries, but there's going to be no more than 7 in one of these races. So, and as a problem I have going forward, we just ran a Super Derby at Louisiana Downs. I think it was last weekend that had 7 horses. You've got these 2 races. You got a Pennsylvania Derby. There's just a proliferation. How you like that? I almost didn't butcher that word. Proliferation of these 3-year-old races, and we did this over the summer too. You've got the Iowa Derby, the Ohio Derby, the Illinois Derby. I don't know whether they don't run that anymore. The Indiana Derby,
Oklahoma
Delaware
Derby.
Derby. You've got all these races that run on top of each other. There's got to be a way they can space these races out. And I know in like 2 or 3 weeks they run one at Remington Park. They'll have an Oklahoma Derby, and you could get away with this stuff 30 years ago when horsemen ran their races every 2 or 3 weeks. But you can't do that anymore. It's just odd. I mean, St. Louis Derby's not something that's on everybody's radar, but it is probably the Fairmount Park's marquee race for the meet. They gotta figure out something. This is usually that race runs 5 or 6 horses, and it's I don't know I don't know what the answer is, but I mean this stuff gets old.
From up over more of a macro examination of what you just said, I agree. But it also goes back to, I mean, maybe branch off just a little bit here. The PPs come out, or when you draw the entries a week early. In theory, in a perfect world, when they first started doing that, for someone like myself in particular, who will handicap a Saturday card on a Monday and then not play anything until that Saturday, in an ideal world, in a perfect setting, that was wonderful. You get your mindset. You know how you want to attack certain things. You know what game plan you want to have. Then you have a backup game plan in your head where you know you can able to audibilize. In theory, that's great. But because of the continuous cross entering and stuff, and the PPs coming out early, trainers see where they want to go, weigh their options. So it actually doesn't benefit you to handicap, quote unquote, that early and get your game plan early, because at the end of the day, you don't know who's going to run. You don't know who's going to run, and that's an effect from the field side that affects pace, that affects the prices that you think you may get, or how you just the strategy you use in some multi-race wagers or intra-race wagers. So yes, in theory, and that goes back to what you're saying, right? From a different avenue, is in theory that should work out. That should be a beautiful thing. It should be great. But I have learned that when I handicap early in the week or whatever, I got to do it with a grain of salt, because I know things are going to change dramatically. Weather's one thing. We understand weather can happen and races come off the turf and fields get scratched down. But now we've got this extra variable, and it makes it tough, right? Am I right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's just, yeah, they've got to start rethinking this stuff, because it's it's affecting handle, and it kind of tempers the excitement of big days. I don't know. There's got to be a way to these tracks are going to have to start working together instead of working against each other.
Yeah, because those fields on Saturday aren't the deepest fields anyway, the biggest fields to begin with. So any scratches to these Churchill races would really be harmful. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. At
Yeah.
least from
Now,
my interest level.
there's a lot to bitch about, but there's also a lot to be positive about. Of course, the Keeneland sale, September sale is taking place right now. It's almost over. I think I read 56 yearlings sold for $1 million or more, which is about 20 more than I think the record. So, obviously there's people that are involved in the game that, they want the game to grow, or they're interested in joining the game, or whatnot. Now, buying $1 million yearlings maybe not the best way to approach it, but obviously there's some enthusiasm out there. And then the other thing I want to point out, I'm going to steal some tweets from Nick Tamaro, morning line maker extraordinaire. The yeah, $3 pick three handle today at Churchill Downs was over $117,000. This is on Wednesday, just over double the same day a year ago when handle was just over $58,000. And then he goes on to say the final three races at Churchill Downs yesterday, which had a 100% increase in pick three handle, also had a 40% gross increase in intra-race handle and an 18% increase in handle per starter. Wagers like the $3 pick three simply get more people looking more seriously at those races, plus the balance of the card. I was a little critical because it bothers me that they made the last three races the $3 pick three, because I like to use that wager to hedge my pick fives and pick fours. But I mean, I can't argue with the numbers. So what say you?
I like the idea. I'm in this camp, the camp or these camps you should raise the minimum wagers, where you need to keep the minimum wagers as light as possible so everybody can be. I don't know which camp I'm in. I actually would like to see, maybe if it was up to me, maybe $1 pick four. Maybe because I think sometimes pick fours can just pay nothing, and then the superfectas. Maybe it's a point now where, like, I find myself not playing dime supers anymore. I usually go. I'll try to take the shot and hit them for $1 if and when I even play them. Maybe you raise those minimums, but then again, I know that there's other people that don't feel that way, and I know that some people really like that stuff. The $3 thing, I actually like that. I think it's a good thing. I like the fact that they've expanded beyond just the turf racing. Last year race today is a good way to introduce it. One of the questions I had, and I think we talked about this off air, there have been times where I've wondered, did the $3 pick three pay commensurate, pay more than what 6 times the 50-cent pick three would pay, or 3 times what the $1 pick three would pay? I never broke down the math that much, because there are times where if you get a sequence with a lot of logical horses, sometimes I wonder if it does pay that much. Sometimes I wonder if it really does pay 3 times what the $1 would pay. Are you getting any sort of premium on that? I think the premium kicks in once you have one or two less logicals get in there. I think then they have a tendency to exponentially explode. Jeff Riggs is proof of that, right? But I do think overall it's good. From what numbers I've seen, that you do get a premium by hitting there for $3, because and I like, because it actually makes people sharpen their skills, sharpen their ticket making skills, because you can't afford to just super spread. Super spreading will kill the stuff too. So yeah. So overall, I guess I'm in the camp that yes, it's okay.
Yeah, I too would like to see the return of the dollar pick four,
Yeah.
just to force you to be a little bit more disciplined.
Yeah,
But
because I think the pick four can get kind of lost these days to some extent, right? It just because the pick five is a thing, and rightfully so. But I think the pick four can. I think the pools get kind of lost. I know I forget about them sometimes, especially when they have those in the middle of races. I saw we have 15 races at Parks today, which is ridiculous. How many pick fours are there? 7? I don't know, just a guess.
I don't know. I never play parks. The takeout's ridiculous. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just. I mean, not. You got a cash ticket for it to matter, but I don't know. I just I'm opposed
But you
to.
like the $3 late pick three, where you're blending whatever the three races are, is what you're saying. Whatever, if they're turf or dirt, whatever they are, they blend it together. You like that?
Yeah, I think it's all right. Like I said, having that on the last three races kind of hurts my wagering strategy a little bit, but you know,
Adapt. Maybe once you adapt to it, maybe it
yeah,
actually will be a net positive.
yeah. I don't know. It's worth trying. That's the key. You gotta try these things to find out. And obviously, so far it looks like it's working. So
Hmm.
can't fault them for that.
That's true. I like the idea.
All right. Anything else before we sign off?
Now that'll do it, brother.
All right. Let's end it right here. Hope everybody has a happy weekend. We'll see you back here soon. On behalf of Alan Schneider, Jeff Riggs sucks, and a host of others, reminding you, in the words of Jerry Romans Jr., We're not happy until you're not happy. Good night.